So watch me transform this beauty from start to finish. If this is what you'd like to see, keep on watching. So please do not forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Hi guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Ben Makeover. If you're new here, you're highly welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much and God bless you. So first thing is to clean up the face in order to remove dirt and oil on the face. After which I hydrated her skin with my Kiss Beauty Fix Spray. Then I let it dry a little into the skin before I moisturized with my Cetaphil moisturizer. So after moisturizing the face, the next thing I did was to dry it. Make sure every product you apply dries up before moving on to the next product. Then moving on to primer, I'm going to be using this Kiss Beauty primer. I'm just going to apply it all over the face. So what does primer do? Primer helps the makeup to last, and it's important to apply primer before your foundation. So after applying it, I let it dry into the skin before I went ahead to apply this Gentle Dove mattifying primer only on the oily areas on her face. So if you have a dry skin, you don't need to apply a mattifying primer, but if you have an oily skin, you can apply your mattifying primer on the oily areas on her face, avoiding the areas underneath the eyes. So after applying your mattifying primer, the areas you applied tends to dry up immediately. Then after that, I went ahead to set it, like to lock in the skin prep. Then after locking it in, I dried it up immediately. So moving on to foundation, I'm going to be using this Avo foundation in the shade 05. So I'm just using my flat brush to apply it all over the face before blending. So after applying it, I'm going to be spraying it for easy blending. Then I went ahead using my beauty sponge, my damp beauty sponge, to blend the foundation into the skin. So after blending in the foundation, next thing is to lock it up with the same Kiss Beauty Spray. This would help the foundation to be intact. Then after that, I dried it up immediately before moving on to contour. So to contour the face, I'm going to be using this Flawless Ivy Concealer to contour her face. So after contouring, moving on to cream blush, I'm going to be applying this orange shade from my Blossom lip palette and apply it above her cheekbone and a little bit on the tip of her nose. Then I went ahead to blend with my beauty sponge. So can you see how well blended it already looks? Moving on to highlight, I'm going to be using my Flawless Ivy Concealer in the shade Creamy Ivory to highlight her face. And after applying the concealer, I'm going to be using my beauty sponge to blend the concealer on the highlighted area. So next, I'm going to be contouring her nose with the same shade I used to contour her face. Then I went back to contour her face again because I really want it to pop. After that, I used my beauty sponge to blend. So it's not really easy working with a hairstylist. It's always challenging sometimes, but you just have to manage so that you people work hand in hand. So after that, I'm going to be setting the concealer with my Sacha Buttercup setting powder. But before setting, I went back with my beauty sponge to blend the areas underneath the eyes to avoid creasing. Then I went ahead to set. While you're setting, you need to be light-handed. Take it one step at a time. Do not pack too much setting powder to avoid it being cakey. So after setting the concealer, next is to set the rest of her face. I'm going to be using this New One Beauty powder to set the rest of her face. So for low light contouring, which is the dry contouring, I'm going to be using my Beachan powder palette. I'm just going to take this shade here to set the areas I applied the cream contour. So next I'm going to be contouring the nose with the same shade. So after that, I'm going to be using this light shade and apply it on the areas I highlighted. After which I used my powder brush to blend everything together. After blending, next is to set the face. This would help to calm everything down and also reduce the brightness on the face. After that, I dried it up immediately. So after drying, next thing is to bake. I'm going to be using the same Sacha Buttercup setting powder to bake. So moving on to the brows, I'm going to be using my spoolie brush to brush her brows first before going on with my brow time to lay the hair nicely. So next is to draw the brows. I'm going to be using my carrot gel liner and my angled brush to outline the brows, following the shape of her brows. So after that, I'm going to be highlighting her brows with the same concealer I used to highlight her face. So after applying the concealer, I'm going to be blending it with my brush. It's very important to blend immediately so that it doesn't get dry. So after highlighting, I'm going to be setting the concealer with this light shade from the same powder palette. So moving on to eyeshadow, first you want to prime the lid. I'm using my Viange eyeshadow base on her lid. I'm just going to apply it on her lid. This would help the eyeshadow to pop and last long. So after applying it, I blended it immediately for a smooth like finish, and I went ahead with this eyeshadow palette. I'm just going to take this shade and apply it on the outer corner, then blend it towards the inner corner of her lid. So next I'm going to be using this shade from the same powder palette and apply it on her brow bone. Next I'm going to be using this shade from my Blossom eyeshadow palette and apply it on the outer corner of her lid, then gently blend it towards the inner corner of her lid. After that, I'm going to be using my eyeshadow blending brush to blend everything to avoid demarcation. Then next, I'm going to be applying setting powder on the outer corner of her lid to define the lid. You can also use a powder to do this. After that, I went back using my eyeshadow blending brush to blend properly to avoid demarcation. So next, I'm going to be using this shade from the same Blows On eyeshadow palette and apply it on the inner corner of her lid. Then I added this MK pigment. I'm just gonna add it. This is a golden pigment. I'm just gonna add it on the inner corner of her lid. Then I had to add another color here because I want the eyes to really pop. So after that, I'm going to be lining her upper and lower lash line with my Carrot gel liner, the black shade. So after that, I'm going to be prepping her natural lashes in order to give it volume. So after that, I went ahead with this shade. I'm going to be applying it on the areas underneath her lower lash line. After that, I wore her these lashes from Chi Lashes. So moving on to blush, I'm going to be using this orange shade from my Blows On eyeshadow palette. I'm going to be using it as my blush. I'm just gonna apply it on her cheekbone. So moving on to the lip, I'm going to be using my Newborn Beauty lip stain. I'm just gonna use it to line her lip. After that, I'm going to be blending it. So after that, I'm going to be adding this shade from my Blows On lip palette. So I went back lining her lip with the same lip stain I used earlier. After that, I added some gloss because she wanted a glossy lip. So next, I'm going to be dusting off the excess powder on her face with my fluffy brush. Then I went ahead using my powder brush to blend everything together. So I went ahead adding this Newborn Beauty lip stain in the middle just to brighten up the lip. So after that, I used my setting sprays to set the face. So after setting it, I let it dry. I was using my paper to like dry it up because my fan was already dead. So after drying it, I'm going to be using this Mevas Glow Dust to highlight the face. This helps the face to glow. After which I used my powder brush to blend everything together. So next I'm going to be prepping her lower lashes with the same mascara I used earlier. After that, I'm going to be using my TM Essential Always Glow on the places I highlighted, that this will help the face to glow. After that, I'm going to be setting the face for the last time. After setting, I will let it dry properly into the skin. Then after drying it, I used my So Pro Seal Spray to seal up the whole thing. And this is the finished look, guys. I hope you all enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, comment. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I will see you all in my next video. Bye, guys.